evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Skippy Lowe Looks at Hollywood. Today's guests are Jay North, the now grown-up Dennis the Menace, and the world's foremost psychic, the one and only Mr. Peter Hurkos. And now here he is, the man of the half hour, Skip E. Lowe.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Looking at Hollywood. Today we have a very interesting and a very different show. We have a gentleman that you have seen on television. Well, you'll remember when you were a kid. Well, here he is now. He's all grown up. Dennis the Menace, Jay North. How are you, Jay?
Fine, I'm still a menace.
Are you still a menace?
Sure am.
Tell me about yourself. How did all that happen, Dennis the Menace?
Well, they screen tested 500 kids for the role of Dennis the Menace. It was a very popular comic strip in the early and late 50s, and Screen Gems and CBS decided, well, let's make a television series out of it. So I screen tested for the role along with 500 other kids, and it was a process of elimination. And Hank Ketchum, who was the creator of the comic strip, personally selected me.
But you did a movie first before you...
Oh, yes, I had worked 2 years before Dennis the Menace. I'd done a couple of features, one with Mickey Rooney called The Big Operator.
Right.
And I did a feature with Rex Reason called Miracle of the Hills, and worked on TV shows like 77 Sunset Strip, Wanted Dead or Alive. So I was a veteran before Dennis came along.
Right. So that's how you got. But they saw you on Big Operation, I think.
The Big Operator. Well,
Operator.
they saw the film, and they said, well, you know, this kid, he looks pretty interesting. Let's give him a test. But you know, it's funny. The first time I went in to read for the role of Dennis the Menace, I gave a terrible reading, and they said, get this kid out of here, we don't want him. So a couple of weeks later, my uncle took me back into the Screen Gems office, got a hold of one of the scripts and said, let me work with Jay a little bit. So I gave a good reading the second time, and made the screen test, and we were on our way from 59 to 63.
Sometimes that happens when you give a bad reading.
Oh yeah, you give a very bad reading.
Casting agents don't realize
that.
Yeah,
the first time a very bad reading, and fortunately I was able to get in a second time, and we were on our way for 4 years.
4 years.
And then I worked pretty steadily through my teen years. I did a feature film in India called Maya, which later became a television series.
I interviewed Susan Strasberg. She was in that, wasn't she?
No, Susan, no.
Susan wasn't?
No, she was not in
Myra. Who did Myra? Susan was never in Myra?
No, she was not in Maya.
Oh, okay.
No.
Good.
No.
Okay. Good. Correct me. Okay. What
So
year was that in, Jay?
That was in, we made the feature film in 65 and the series in 67.
Who was in the film?
A young Indian actor by the name of Sajid Khan. There were just, well, actually 3 cast members if you want to count the elephant.
That was in
the
India?
pachyderm,
That was in
yeah.
India?
We shot that entirely on location in India. We lasted, we didn't even make it through a season. And then, you know, after I came back, the years have been kind of, you know, really rough for me because of the identification with the Dennis the Menace character, and it's been real tough for me to reestablish myself. Yeah, so I've reached the point of where I kind of, you know, I like to bury it as much as I can, but of course, you know,
but
the name
they are going to remake it, I understand, on TV.
Well, they are talking about doing a reunion show with the original cast, and it's just right now in the talking stages.
Why do you want it to bury?
Well, you know, I'm trying to do other things, and I think the identification with the nice, sweet, innocent little kid, and then, you know, they think, well, he's still a nice, sweet, innocent kid, he just is bigger now. And that's one of the reasons why I have a project that I'm trying to get off the ground about a young mass murderer in Indiana by the name of Stephen Judy. He committed a horrible series of murders back there.
You're into crime.
And I would like to
crime,
play him.
You're into crime.
Yes, I am. I would like to play him, and that would be a good transition for me.
I see.
So, but yes, I'm very much into studied criminology at Valley College out here, and I've always been a real crime buff. I've always read all of the J. Robert Nash books on bloodletters and bad men and all the criminology books, and of course working with Peter Hurkos. I've had the chance to work with him on a number of cases, and it's fascinating to watch this man as he picks up the vibrations with objects from the home, objects from the victim, objects from the defendant, and everything else. And it's fascinating to watch this man work. And of course, I was a big fan of Peter's for many years, even before I met him. I met him through his wife Stephanie, who's my who's my personal manager. But I followed, Peter's cases for many years, and of course, the case that he really broke big was the Albert DeSalvo Boston Strangler case.
The Strangler.
Boston Strangler.
Right.
So
Tell me something about yourself. Are you married?
No, I'm divorced.
You are?
I had a shot at marriage about 10 years ago, and I don't think I'm going to repeat it. But anyway,
you seem happy.
Well, I think I'm pretty well adjusted for, you know, a lot of kid actors. You hear horror stories of how they grow up and you know, they commit suicide, or they just, you know, their lives are messed up and everything. But I think I've come through that period really well. Of course, there are times when I get down and I think, well, you know, gee, this is depressing. I wish I'd never been a kid actor, so now maybe I could have a shot at being an adult actor. But I think I've pretty well, you know, resolved all the negative attitudes that I've had, you know, toward that experience.
Seem like
so.
Very nice, Jay. Very good. I'm very happy. And are you seeing a young lady right now? I'm getting a little personal.
Well, not right at the moment. I was dating a young lady, but she was a Mormon.
You're going to school, aren't you?
Right now I'm going to Valley College.
Valley College, and you're studying?
Studying criminology.
Criminology.
Right.
Well,
I want that.
Into that?
Well, as I say, I've always been fascinated by it. It's always fascinated me, crime and criminology.
Criminology,
and
I see.
You know, I'd kind of like to have that as a backup, because if you know, the few things that I'm trying to do as an actor don't work out, then I'll just go into the criminology area full-time and devote, you know, my time to it.
But you didn't have a real tough time as a child actor, though, in over here and all. You didn't.
No, not really a tough time. I think the only thing was my schooling suffered a little bit, because you know, when you're on the set there, people don't realize the pressure on a kid. Number one, you've got to retain all the dialogue. You've got to remember all the dialogue and keep it in your head. You go to school for 20 minutes while they're setting up a shot. You're right in the middle of schoolwork. They call you, you know, to do the scene. You do the masters, the close-up, two-shot, everything else. Then they say, okay, go back to school, and it's like a game of ping pong all day, and you really just don't have the opportunity to just focus on your schoolwork entirely, because there are constant interruptions. Either that, or they were pulling me out of the dressing room to do press interviews and people, you know, meeting people and everything. So that was tough.
When your show was on the air, I was in Europe a lot. You know, I worked in Europe a lot, and I used to see your shows every once in a while when I used to fly back into New York. And Dennis the Menace, that was in the 60s, wasn't it? Or
yes,
60s?
59 to 59 to 63.
Those are the years I
right.
lived in Europe. Yeah, and
right.
I was away from America for like 15 years.
And they just...
and they were very big here, too, weren't they?
They were big. It was a very popular show. It was a very... I think Dennis the Menace, a lot of those shows, Beaver, Father Knows Best.
Have they been shown in Australia and England and all this?
They've been shown all over.
All over the world.
But they were done at a very simple time of innocence before everything, you know, the whole world kind of exploded into chaos. So people are very nostalgic about, you know, they enjoy those shows, because it takes them back to a simpler time. It puts them in a time machine and takes them back, and they can laugh, enjoy. No sexual message, no political message, nothing like the sitcoms of today.
True.
They're light years apart.
Yes, but you know something, we are having a little tough time right now, don't we? In years now, don't you think so? Right now, do you think we're having a little tough time? I mean, because right now I'm going to bring a man right now who can tell us all about it if we're going to have a tough time.
We're going to have a tough time.
We are. You know, if we're having a tough time, I'm going to bring Peter Hurkos, one of the world's foremost psychics, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a nice round of applause. Peter, are we having a tough time here in America, Peter?
Well, there will be a changing.
Will there be a change, Peter?
Sure.
Reagan, tell us.
Reagan, I know Reagan very well. He's a friend of mine. I met him in his home. We went fishing. I know him before he was president. And he laughed at me one time. I was with my wife, and my wife was at the time pregnant. And I said, Reagan, you're going to be president. And he laughed. He said, well, I have only a farm and a house. That's all what I have. I said, I don't have the money for campaigning. So you're going to make it. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you will be president. And when you are president, you wouldn't recognize me anymore. And he laughs. Soon he became president. He still remembers me very well. Oh, yes, I got a nice picture when he said, Peter, do the best, you know.
Right. Peter Hurkos, tell me, where did that psychic ability come from? I mean, really the original, or that you're the only one.
Well,
how did it all come with you?
I was a house painter, and then I was a cook on a ship, and a passenger ship in Holland, America line in Holland. And then he sent me to the cook school in Switzerland as a gourmet cook. And the company paid for it. And in 1939, I came down with the boat, and the war broke out in 1940. And I have to do something, otherwise I have to go to Germany. Right. I'm from Holland. So my father runs a very small painting business, very small. And if I can prove that I work, then I don't have to go to Germany and work in a factory.
Right.
So I was scraping a roof about 43 feet, and I had a fall from the ladder. I was there were big windows, and I put a ladder right in the middle that I could scrape them off the left and right, and
Yes.
hang over too much, and I fell 43 feet. Had a skull fracture, was in the hospital in Zuidwal, The Hague, for a long time, and this is how it started. I never believed in any psychic phenomenon.
But you realize when you woke up in the hospital? Is that what happened?
When I wake up, the first symptoms when I wake up, I said to the man, "You are a very bad man. You stole the watch from your father, and you sold it." And I didn't know what I was doing. It came out spontaneous. So then the nurse came, and the guys told that I was waking up, came out conscious.
Yes, right.
I was unconscious for about 3 days. And I had a skull fracture. So I said to the nurse, Houden. She said, "No, my name is Zelden." They said, "You're going to be careful, you're going to lose your valise in a train from Amsterdam to The Hague. It's going to happen,
You really told her that?
Yes, and I didn't know what I was doing. I had no control about my own mind. And then she said that this happened this morning. Not it's going to happen. I lost my valise in the train this morning.
It happened before?
That's
It
happened
already
before.
happened,
Yes, but I said it's going to happen. It was happening.
Right.
And that was very strange, you know.
The doctors sent you to America, didn't they? After
Yes.
Tell
Yes.
us about that, Peter.
No, then I didn't know what to do with myself.
Right.
And then I went to Paris, live in Paris for 6 years. And my wife got me a job at a police department in Paris. I want to find out what I can do. And there was a big murder case in Paris. Like everybody knows about it. And the police called me in, and I broke this case, and there was a big story in Paris Match. As a magazine like Live magazine, and you still can buy it here.
Yes.
And somebody get a hold in America about it, and he asked me to come over to America, tax-free. I said, well, how much he could have paid? Now, they paid me the time, it was a $56,000 a month, plus room and board and everything for testing. So I went over there. And it was in Glen Cove, Maine, and Rockland. Glen Cove is in town with about 3,000 people.
In Maine?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's about 10 miles away or 6 miles away from Rockland. And there was a big foundation there. Signed with under the name Dr. Puharits. He's a scientist, medical doctor, and surgeon. And he was only interested in my brains, what I can do. So I was there 6 months, and then he sent me back, and he asked me if I want to come back again to the United States. So I went back to Paris. And the second time I came back, and it was a month before, the second time before I had to go to Paris back. And I had a visa for 6 months, and then 2 people came, like farmer-type people. Said, "You like America?" I said, "If I don't like America, I wouldn't be here."
Right.
So he said, "Give me a passport." I said, "Andre, what's happened? Why I have to give me a passport?" He said, "Well, you like America, right?" He said, "Yes." So I said, "Give the passport," and the next day, Dr. Puharits and 2 of the farmers, they took me to Boston. It's about 2 hours drive. And he brought me with the Navy. He said, "Hey, listen, I don't want to be in the Navy." You know? And he did some x-rays, and 2 weeks later I got my papers. And 2 years later I became an American citizen.
How did the Boston Strangler come about, Peter? That's in...
Well, I
us
have
about
told many times, 20th Century Fox sent me, I want to tell what was happened, what I did there. But I had the memos too. So I sold the motion picture for $25,000.
I see.
And I told you had the wrong man, the man we took. I found his diary under the sink. I was never paid. I went on my own there. Oh no, he only paid for my transportation. And when I came there, I found the man, the place. I said, "This house is it?" And it was not, it was the wrong house, the house.
Yes.
I said, "Is there a man living, very skinny, 150 pounds, a high voice?" He said, "Oh, it's the neighbor, that crazy guy there." So we went in the house, we knocked on the door, he wouldn't open the door. So we came back the next day, and I went in the door. And I told the police and the detectives in Boston, I said, "That man don't sleep in a bed, he sleeps on a steel mattress." And he's a very eccentric guy, and he was a monk in the monastery.
Yes.
Threw him out at the time. And I see diary, and there is nothing. So we are looking around, he found some stuff, and he found his diary under the sink. We found it.
My.
And that is what they all explained. But in the meantime, he put him in a mental hospital. We show him the pictures from the 13 killings. And he said, yes, I have done a very bad thing. I was waiting for you, Mr. Hurkos.
Good God.
And I was shocked. Now, let me tell you, he found also my book in the house. My book. I had a book out.
How many books? You have several books out, don't you?
No, I have.
That year you had one?
I wrote 3 books myself. And there are 109 books out. Dead Zone, I am in the Dead Zone. There's also a story about the case.
So he had your book?
Yes, and I was shocked. And he said, I was waiting for you. So we put him in a mental hospital, and 2 months later, the solver was arrested for rape and burglary. And told everything to the solver. The man what is now today is still in a mental hospital.
He's still there?
Yes.
Yeah. Peter Hurkos, tell us about Sharon Tate now. That.
Well, I was...
Real quick, tell us about that. If you can.
I never work on a case after the police have to invite me.
Do you need an object, a certain object?
I was in the house. And the sheriff didn't like it, but I got in the house from higher hand, Washington. I went in the house, and I was with Peter Connected, district attorney from Beverly Hills. And I found some contrabands in the house, and the bodies were removed, and I saw also the aerial, and I was sitting in the play for Sharon Tate, and I saw it like a mental picture. I said, there are 5 people involved. And he gave the description. And then I told Charlie Manson.
Charlie Manson.
Yes, but I said, I didn't know. This is what I saw.
Right.
So the police did the rest, and he found
Charlie
the killers.
Manson. God. How do you get your psychic ability?
Well, when you see an
Right,
accident,
objects, or what did you?
the best thing is objects. If there is a murder case, I never slip in a town when there's a murder case and people try to hire me. I always work straight with the police department, and I work all over the world, not only America. And that time, people are very skeptic. Now they are not skeptic. I've done too many things. So they said, "Oh, Peter, it's okay."
They try to catch you too, don't they, Peter?
Oh yeah.
They do try to catch you, don't
In Boston.
They did?
Yeah, there were 109 pictures on the floor, and he said, the lieutenant said, there's all from the people from the murder case involved, and I threw 9 pictures out. I said, why didn't you do that? I come here so many miles away from Los Angeles, and don't trick me. That has nothing to do. This case was already solved. People have done it. I don't blame it.
Peter Hurkos, tell me, you just got back from Japan.
Yes.
And they did a whole thing on you in Japan. Tell us about that, would you?
This is done in a laboratory, medical laboratory, and it is 26 pages about this. It's a big magazine.
In Japan, right?
In Japan.
Tokyo.
And we came to Los Angeles, about 16 people with the crew in Tokyo and everything. And he told me what I do, and he will film the house. And also in the medical laboratory where I was brought over in 1956. He went there, filmed everything. We got permission. And we went to the laboratory, and then we went to New Jersey to the chief police department where I broke a murder case. The man was in life for jail, killed people, shot him. And then we went to jail there where the guy was in jail, and the whole story. And then he gave me a case in North Carolina. We were also in North Carolina on another case, and then the Japanese gave me a case.
The Japanese did?
Yeah, with all Japanese. They gave me a case from a little girl that was missing over a year. And he gave me a map. He didn't tell me where, I don't speak Japanese. And I had a translator with me, and I pointed on the map, this is where the girl is missing. And it was maybe a half an inch off over the whole map from Japan.
A half inch off?
Yeah.
Jay North, would you believe this? Has Jay been with you on certain...
Oh, yes, I
Has
took
he?
on a murder
You
case.
have,
Yes,
Jay?
exactly.
Which murder case have you been on, Jay?
Well, one
The
is...
woman that killed
Excuse me. We can't talk about the specific location because
No, of
the young
course.
man is on trial right now.
Oh, is he?
But I went down with Peter. It was a case of a young man who was the caretaker for this elderly woman. And they had some dispute over money or what.
The will.
In the will. The will. And
So handy man.
very, very upset
I
with her
see.
and stabbed her 11 times.
Did he?
11
11
times.
times.
In a chair in the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
They got him. I
And-
found the place where he lived.
You did?
Peter took the
He was with
police
me.
to
My.
the place where, you know, he lived and everything, and, I mean, they didn't even know the, you know, the connection
Yes.
or anything else.
Peter, tell me something. You just did, Marlon Brando lost his dog, Winky.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that. You
Winky,
went,
yeah, Winky,
Winky,
yeah.
his dog Winky. Tell
He
me.
called me up from North. He said, to the secretary, I said, "Go to Peter, my dog is missing." And he loved that dog. So
Mhm.
I said, and I laughed. So he brought me something for the dog. He said, "The dog is not missing."
You said the dog is not
no,
missing?
he's on a reservoir in Beverly Hills area there.
That's right.
And he found
Huh?
He found the dog there.
He found the dog there,
Yeah.
right in the bushes there.
Right.
I see. That's remarkable.
Well, it
Tell
is
me
a
something,
gift.
Peter. By touching someone's objects, I just have to know, once again, you didn't answer me about that. Someone's objects, is that how you can tell? Like,
Yeah.
Really? Just by
But
objects?
I don't know anybody here.
Yeah.
Do you know me?
There's someone out there, right, in the audience, right?
Never met me before? Do you have a picture in your wallet?
You have something in your wallet, sir?
Can I have it?
Could you come up here and bring it to us?
Don't tell me who it is. Shush, give it to me.
Just bring it
Shake
up.
a little
Just
bit.
bring it to him. Just come right up here, sir. Let's see.
I don't want to see it, sir.
Don't see it,
Shush,
just-
put it upside down in my hand.
Just drop it in his hands. Just the picture. Just do the wallet, the whole wallet. That's it.
So, now, the way I do it, I don't look over this picture. It's like a mental picture. Why didn't you quit school?
Pardon me?
Why don't you quit school? Why did you quit school?
Why did you quit school?
I did.
You
too.
did quit school?
Yeah.
Why? You have a brilliant mind. You got studied very well. You didn't.
I had a lot of trouble in school.
Yeah. You also have a scar on your leg too,
My.
Did he?
Yes, I do.
like that.
Yes.
And I don't know. You never met you before.
Marvelous.
That's the way you see it. That is a person what will have is in life. This person, young person,
Yes.
young person. Trouble when she was born with feeding. She had the wrong formula on food. This person. It's color picture. It's a color picture.
Yes.
Color.
Like this, halfway. Young person. The person was sick about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Who is Michael?
Michael?
Michael.
I don't recognize anybody by that name. Michael.
Yeah, Mike.
No.
And I see you working, sir.
Pardon me?
I see you working.
Yes.
Don't quit the job.
Don't quit the
You
job.
can say you like it very much, but the half of it don't pay enough. But don't throw shoes away before you have new ones. A very smart child, very smart.
Yes, he is.
Would you put that bed from the door, draft, where the baby sleeps?
Giraffe, yeah.
By the door. The
By
baby
the
sleeps
door.
right by the door. When you open the door, right in the corner, move the bed on the side, otherwise you get a very bad cold.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have time this week, go to the dentist and fill you long, the third one on the left side. Neat.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank
Peter,
you.
that's wonderful.
Now there are little things. You know, my...
Has he ever said
actually-
anything about you, Jay? Has he ever done anything
Oh,
about you?
yeah.
Oh, yes.
I mean, can you do things on close people that you're very close with, Peter? I mean, someone...
I'll be honest with you, I cannot read my wife.
You cannot read your wife.
When I be I call her Mother Superior, she's a good
Uh-huh,
woman.
uh-huh.
But sometimes think I'm a little child, you know.
Right, right.
She's a good manager for many people.
She handles Troy Donahue, Jay
Yes.
North. She
Oh, yeah.
handles a lot of very, very... big
Diane Ladd.
actors. Diane Ladd, wonderful
Sure.
lady, yes.
I don't see her much.
Stephanie Courtney.
I don't see her.
You don't see her?
No, she's on the phone or she's in the studios.
She's busy. She's always
But
on the
she's a
phone.
good person.
Yes. So, Peter, you have a book out. You have 3 books out, don't you?
Yeah.
3. And you also did motion pictures, didn't you? I didn't know you were an actor.
I'm not an actor, but
Didn't know you
I
were
play
an actor.
the way.
You played yourself.
Yeah, I don't
Peter
characterize
Hurkos.
studios in there.
Right,
No,
right.
camera.
And what film was this, Peter?
I did that picture with Raymond Bird. I did. How did you know? What was that? Mother.
Matt Houston left.
Matt Houston, I
Matt
did.
Houston,
And I'm up for another picture, and now I'm. Studios are very interested in my life
Your
story.
life story, yes.
Yes.
It would be. You'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
You'd be absolutely
But
wonderful.
the most people were very kind are the Japanese.
You like Japan?
If they like you, you are in it.
Yeah, they're nice people. They really. Have you been to
Right.
Japan, Jay?
No.
You haven't?
Never have.
Speak
Very
Japanese,
nice.
Jay?
No,
No,
don't speak
konbanwa.
Japanese.
You speak
And
Japanese.
I speak
I'm
understand.
telling you, the studio there, the set is unbelievable.
The studios are big, yeah.
But
Yeah.
there is no limit from time out 8 hours like America.
Yeah, that's true.
You work sometimes 12 hours.
Before we sign off, Peter, tell me something. Reagan is going to get in again. Is that what you believe? Reagan will win?
I don't have to be, I know that, and I know that from the beginning.
Also, tell me, will Reagan last in office, Peter? Be honest. Will Reagan last in office?
I hope so, but
You know why? I had a psychic on my show, and he said Reagan will win, but he won't last. He's going to be.
maybe
he's
health-wise.
going to die. Pardon me?
health-wise,
Is that what you feel? You feel?
health-wise, you have to take care about his health. But his mind is still sharp, and I'm not talking as a stranger. I know him very well, and he's straight down the line. We have to build up a defense, otherwise the Russians were already here. You know, we don't want any war.
You believe in building up defense?
Yes.
You do. I see. Okay.
If we don't build up defense, why don't Russia build up some tremendous defense to try to take my country like Hitler did?
What do you believe, Jay? What do you believe? You believe in we should build defense before we?
I really think so.
You do.
I really think so. A strong
Before we
defense.
sign off, Jay North, for young people out there, you were a child actor here in Hollywood. You grew up here in Hollywood. What would you advise the young actors out there when they come to Hollywood, how to prepare themselves real quick?
Well, I don't think that you should have any illusions about the business. It's a tough business. I think you should learn your craft. I think that you should have a lot of experience on the stage even before you come out here.
Right.
The stage experience is really very, very important. I wish I could have gotten that stage experience earlier on instead of being in television my whole life. But it's a tough business, and you have to be realistic about it and just keep a level head.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you
North.
very
Thank
much.
you. Peter
Nice
Hurkos,
meeting you.
Thank you very, very much. Ladies and
It's
gentlemen.
jammer that you don't have a show, then I prove it. You know, people always say, well, maybe he know about that man, but it's not true.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to contact Peter Hurkos, where do we contact Peter Hurkos? In the Valley? Studio City.
Studio City.
And under Peter Hurkos. You're listed.
Yes.
Yes.
You are listed, Peter Hurkos, in Studio City. You can contact him. And I want to thank Jay North and Peter Hurkos. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lady out there by the name of Frances Faye. She is living well and happy, and I'm happy for it. Write to her. This is Skippy Lowe. We've been looking at Hollywood.